In Activity 1, Plants in Our World, students observe plants in their natural surroundings and discuss the importance of plants on Earth. Students first learn to distinguish the differences between plants and animals, and then examine and name the parts of the plant. Finally, students discuss some human uses for plants. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 1, crayons, and magnifiers. You will also need to provide a black felt tip marker, a large sheet of white paper, pictures of a variety of plants and animals, plant, a weed from a schoolyard, transparent tape, and a trowel or a strong metal spoon. To prepare for Session 1, collect pictures of a variety of animals and plants. Try to include pictures of plants in nature, aquatic plants, and houseplants. To begin Session 1, display the pictures of plants and animals for the students to see. One by one, point to each picture and encourage students to identify it by asking, "What is an animal? What is a plant?" Students will likely comment on the differences in appearance between the two. Introduce the three main differences between plants and animals by asking students, "How do animals move?" Students may suggest walking, running, flying, or swimming. Then ask the class, "How do plants move?" Students should understand that plants cannot move on their own. In fact, most plants are rooted, but may get rustled or knocked over by animals, people, wind, or water. Explain that how they move is the first difference between plants and animals. Next, find out if students have any pets at home. Then ask, what would happen if your pet kept on growing? Encourage students to imagine their pets growing to be as big as cars or buildings, and the problems that would cause. Then, define the second difference between plants and animals, that animals grow to a certain size and then stop. Plants, however, keep growing, unless they are injured or diseased or interrupted by a change in seasons. Then ask students, what do animals eat? Students should respond that animals eat plants and other animals. Then ask, what do plants eat? Students may respond that plants eat dirt and water. Explain that this is the third difference between plants and animals. Plants do not eat food the way that animals do, but rather they absorb water and nutrients from soil and make their own food inside their leaves. To prepare for Session 2, make a copy of Activity Sheet 1 for each student. This session requires you to take the students outside and pull up a weed from the schoolyard. If there are no suitable plants outdoors, use a small house plant. Remove the plant from the pot by placing one hand over the surface of the dirt so that the plant stem is between your fingers. Gently turn the pot upside down and tap around the outside until the plant and root ball come free. Make sure to check for any student allergies to plants or pollen before having students handle plants or plant parts. Set up a plant examining table by covering a desk or work table with a sheet of large white paper. Place a black felt tip marker, a roll of transparent tape, and several magnifiers at the table. Each team of 2 will need a box of crayons. To begin Session 2, show students the pictures of plants again and ask, where do plants live? Students will arrive at a variety of conclusions, including cities, forests, deserts, oceans, and lakes. If feasible, bring students outside to an area where wild plants are growing. Have them observe and compare the different types of plants they see. Then dig up a healthy, leafy weed, roots and all. Shake loose as much soil as you can and hold it up for students to examine. Ask students, can anyone name any parts of this plant? Students should be able to identify the roots, stem, and leaves. Bring the plant back into the classroom and place it flat on the examining table. Tape it down to the paper using transparent tape. Have students gather around and take turns using the magnifiers to closely examine the plant. Ask students, what are the roots? After the students answer, use a marker to draw an arrow on the white paper and label the roots. Then ask, what is a stem? After the students correctly identify the stem, draw an arrow on the paper and label it. Finally ask, what are the leaves? After students correctly identify the leaves, draw an arrow on the paper, and label them. Next, hand out a copy of Activity Sheet 1 to each student, as well as a box of crayons to each team of 2. Instruct students to work in pairs to complete the top part of the sheet and color in the picture of the plant. When students finish, ask them about things that they eat at mealtime. Help them realize that plants are an important part of their diet. Ask them to name some other animals besides humans that eat plants. Lead students to conclude that plants are a vital food source for many animals on Earth. Finally, have students complete the bottom part of their activity sheet and review their answers as a class. Inform students that in the next activity, they will learn about seeds and the plants that produce them. To conclude Session 2, display the magazine pictures of plants on a bulletin board. Return the box of crayons to the kit. Collect the activity sheets for use again in Activities 6, 7, and 8. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.